Hey, I'm Gingi, 3 times world champion and director of esports nutrition. Our ELX energy drink has a unique and crash-free formulation. It contains L-theanine to provide a smoother delivery of energy from caffeine and a tapered calm down. Our ELX also contains cocoa extract and rhodiola rosea to help adapt to changes in stimulation. Finally, we've added L-glycine, a potent nootropic and super amino that naturally calms the brain. So stop crashing and click the link in the video.
Boom. Okay, so yeah, the dungeon starts. As you can see, the composition is full physical damage dealers. We have now on the Pro Warrior, clicks on the Moonwalker, me and the Hunter, Frag on the Rogue. So we start off with a Shroud. Then we do a big juicy pull here, where we commit Ashen and 2-minute cooldowns. We don't use Bloodlust. So here in the beginning, you can see there's of course a Paralyze and a Sap out, like a Paralyze and a Trap on the Harvesters. Just because we don't want to start using our kicks and our CC change yet, before the bow breakers in. The other people in the group, they just start hitting the fire guy, while I go and pull the dough breakers. And then we start blasting here. We break the CC. So the CC rotation is pretty much like this. We do initial kicks, me and Clicks. So Clicks kicks cross. I kick this one, so they walk in. Jimmy and Robin, they're both assigned to the fire guy. They're rotating kicks, so 2 melee kicks to that. You can see the 2 soul cleavers here. You can see a Hutch goes out and a kidney goes out whenever they have their effect that makes them heal whenever they hit with melee hits. So we make sure that we put a stun on that. So we have Ken assigned to Hutch on one of them, and we have Jimmy assigned to kidney on the other. That allows for them not to heal at all. So that's kind of like how we did it, and that makes it so that we stop as much as possible, utilizing everyone's utility in the group. And now we start off with the AoE CC rotation that you'll see in just a second. And we're, off the top of my head, I pretty much know how it's gonna go. We're gonna do the silence arrow, and then we're gonna go into Robin Shockwave, into Robin Sphere. There will be some random procs from the knockdown of the Night Fae ability from the Bot Warrior, as you'll be able to see. But the CC rotation is as follows: Wailing Arrow from me, into a Shockwave from Robin, into a Fear from Robin, into a Blinding Light from Ken, into a Ring of Peace from Clicks, into a single kick from me and Clicks again. So that was the standard rotation that we ended up with. Save DPS potions as well. You see the knockdown, the Shockwave goes out here. The knockdown from Night Fae, we get a lot of random ones there. We get the Fear, then we get the Blinding Light. Boom. We get the Ring of Peace, into the single kick from me and Clicks here. We get the, then we get the bursting stacks here. Normally you should be dwarfing here. This was pretty early in practice actually, I think. So I don't know how good I'm playing, but I noticed that I didn't use my dwarf, so I just used it here instead, just for the physical damage reduction. You can see I use all defensive like that I have except for Turtle. Turtle would make me lose DPS, of course. So I just ended up doing the Feign Death. For the DR, I use Survival of the Fittest, and I just use the Stone Form as well. We get the AM and the Rally too. So we get a lot of damage reduction on those dough breakers. It is a 2345. So they do a lot of damage. I actually stopped using 1-minute cooldowns here in the end and started using it on the boss. Because it was just better. So that was one change that I made. It made the DPS push on the boss easier. So I used 1 minute with volley and everything on pull here. Instead of towards the end. I ended up getting them back for the damage phase. Anyway, the only thing that was really important is that as soon as the dough breakers died, I had to pop my double tap. Because if I pop my double tap late, it wouldn't be ready, right? You can pre-pop double tap. So I just needed it to be like, you know, kind of like on a 50-second cooldown when the boss got tagged. That would make it so that I would have it back again. And I mean, since I'm playing Mechanicos, your Resonating Arrow is only a 50-second cooldown on this boss. Yes, Ruby, you abandon your pet. That's some of the more technical stuff I'll get to in just a second. But this boss is pretty straightforward, of course. After the fear, you'll see the bloodlust coming out. You see here a bloodlust. I abandoned my pet, so I don't have to dismiss it. Saves the cast time. Get back my lone wolf. One small trick here: if you summon your pet, you use bloodlust, and you abandon it. If you do it quick enough, you don't even drop your lone wolf stacks. Because you abandon it like too quick before the game drops your lone wolf stacks. So if you just summon your pet, you pop bloodlust and then abandon it instantly, then you actually don't drop your lone wolf at all. It's a really nice trick you can use. And of course we blast in the damage phase here. Kinda RNG as a hunter. Like if I get one, I'm playing searching shots. If I get one searching shot proc, then this boss becomes a lot better. But just to account for not having the RNG, of course, I started using 1 minute on the boss instead of using 1 minute on the bow breakers, because we didn't want to have RNG on this boss. We wanted to make sure that we made a DPS take every time and we one phase. So again, this is like a slow run. This is not one of our best runs, but I started swapping my 1 minute on pull instead of towards the end of the 2 bow breakers. One small thing as well, of course, I gotta make sure that when Ingram Malak targets the tank when you're on a prot warrior, we're gonna utilize Reflect. As you can see, Reflect is being pressed. Target of target is on now, and then you get a little bit of extra damage onto the boss from him spirit bolting him. We just finished the boss off here. Right? One small thing here is, as you can see, what the hell am I doing? Yeah, okay, so one small trick here. Since when you're pulling through the maze, you can only nameplate length is now they nerfed it. Back in the day, you could have nameplates at 100 yards distance. So it's really annoying to target nameplate through the maze if you're far away. In this case, we're all the way at the seed, and the nameplates would not be visible for me right now. So how I did it is that instead of in the beginning, I just put a mouse over focus. As you can see, I have the fender on focus. I summon my pet, and then I just sent my pet on my focus target. Then I can set my pet over to a specific target and pull it even if I'm far away. So I don't have to walk close to it and target the nameplate because I have it on focus, and I can just target the focus instead of nameplate. It was very nice for me to do that. For example, on a boss like Mistcaller, because we do pull trash into the Mistcaller room, and depending on where we end up on, like into intermission, for example, on Mistcaller, you can end up at the top of the room, at the bottom of the room, but maybe you have to pull a pack that's like really far away. Then it was really easy for me to just go into the room, put the focus on the beginning, and then pull it whenever our 2 minutes came back without having to walk to it, get in nameplate range, and then pull it. So that's why I started utilizing focus to do that. So my semi-pet comes back, I dismiss it. I don't abandon my pet here because you need to wait for it to stack up. And since you cannot abandon your pet when you have 1 pet left. So you can only abandon 4 pets in total per dungeon. In this case, I choose to dismiss it, but I do abandon 4 times in the key in total. I just try to do it in the 4 most efficient areas possible, to just maximize uptime. I mean, this is why Hunter was good. It was just for, you had damage in every single maze. You get a lot of count by pulling through the maze as well. Just really good for that. Pick Volcanic Plume in this key. Fortified 23. There's a lot of random stops as well in the mist. stopping a lot of mechanics, the flurries and all of that, the rampages, and it does a lot of damage. Yeah, send my pet, a dash of course. Pet attacks, I pull it back, dismiss. A hunter macros available anywhere? Yeah, exclamation mark macros, but I haven't updated it. But there's a lot of good macros there. These polls, of course, we have assignments as well, like who stops what, who kicks what. Stalkers, who stops rampages, things like usually Robin is on rampages, and then Celia and Clicks are on stalkers rotating. Hutch paralyzed, leg sweep, blinding light, and then Jimmy is back up in case we need a kidney or cheap shot if we run out of stuff. There's a beast vendor where you can just buy any pet that you want on Tournament Row. You just choose to you can, if you wanted to, like any type of pet you can get from the vendor. Here you'll see me pull through the wall. Boom. Send my pet to Gorgulet. This is the one where it fucks up. Look here, this is one fancy thing, by the way. I don't know if this works in PvP, but look here. My pet pulls Gorgulet, it dies. I abandon my dead pet, and then you can summon another pet in your stable without having to res it. That's a really cool trick you can use as well. If you want to save time. To pull Gorgulet in, this way have a rogue is really good to have like a high HP target. See, do we pull extra mobs in this pack? I think this is like a... Normally we'd pull an extra pack in with Gorgulet. We pulled one more pack into this. I remember. This is the old strat. This is not the optimized one. That's why the run was slow. We ended up getting like a clean run was sub 15 in Mist 23. Can you MD the pet to Robin before it goes into other wall? But MD the pet. Again, misdirection the pet. I sent the pet, the Pel gets pulled back. I mean, in the case that I do almost no damage, right? I send in the pet, the mobs come, I have my always a resonating arrow or cooldowns or something like that. So I want to make sure that I save my misdirection when everything's stacked up and I'm doing my most damage. Otherwise, there could be threat issues in case our monkey ends up getting like a lot of chichi procs and he could over aggro the tank. So it's always good to save the MD in that case for your biggest burst. But look here, by the way, this is like there's a couple packs you can pull through the wall. Yeah, exactly. And pet aggro wouldn't. All the pet damage that you're doing doesn't transfer to the tank. You can misdirection your pet if you want to. Then all damage you do misdirections to the pet. But all damage your pet does not transfer to your misdirection target. If you misdirection the tank and your pet does damage, your pet's damage wouldn't transfer that aggro over to the tank in that case. But look here, here you can pull through the wall. There's a couple of packs you can pull through the wall actually. A couple spots. This is one of them. So you don't have to send the pet here. Yo, JNK, what's up? How much can these pet pulls save you overall? Can you pull so much for the mates that you can skip most of the trash between second and third boss and save even more time to just pull the single target mob with a pack? Yes, we got a lot of count, which saved us a lot of good time. For example, there was 2 different paths we could have with our total count. So like after Mistcaller, we would have to either do a double pack on the left with the Reavers, the 2 patrolling Reavers, or if we got another path in the maze, we would have to get a triple pack. So as we come down after Mistcaller, you know, there's the triple pack, and then there's the mini boss. We skip that, and then we go through, and then we had to, depending on the count we had, depending on the mist path, we would have to get 2 packs on the left plus the Reavers, or the pack on the right plus the 2 packs on the left, and then we would skip the Reavers. And then you would finish off with doing a double pack with the boss, the 2 last packs right before the last boss, for example. And how we pull that pack, I'll get to later. But there's a little bit of there's a technicality with how we're doing the pull on the boss, because we're doing like either a double pull with Reavers or a triple pull. So of course we're committing cooldowns. And if you go into the last boss with no cooldowns on a 23 Tredova, with 2 packs and Tredova, with like, by the way, we're skipping Sugadon and we're skipping Cold Hard. So you're both slowed and you take increased physical damage. So that's not something you want to go into last boss with without cooldowns, right? That's just asking for death. So I'll show you how we do it, so that we have cooldowns for the triple pack and cooldowns for the last boss with the trash at the same time. So here we're gonna pull some trash as well. The only thing we'll look, as you can see, I use Omni CD to track. Me and Clix's 2 minutes are pretty much synced. You can see the true shot on 45, the Suin on 42, and we want to pull the trash in with the 2-minute timings. Yes, I'm sending the pet there to the pack. Here I actually let my pet die. Also, one thing as well, as you can see, had a little weaker to make it easy for me. But the Volpin, the freeze tag, you can vanish that, you can shadow melt that, you can feign death that. So it just had a very visible weaker, so you wouldn't miss it, right? In case you're focusing on something else. As you can see, I feign death, the casket interrupted, and the fox doesn't even spawn. One small thing as well here. I let my pet die on this one instead of abandoning it, because there's downtime after the boss, so I can just rest it there and then dismiss it again without losing. But one thing, when your pet dies, you still have your pet bar and everything, and you don't get your Lone Wolf stacks again. So if this happens and you want to get your Lone Wolf back, all you have to do is cast Revive Pet, cancel the cast, and then your Lone Wolf will come back. So that's another trick as well. And we're gonna pop our cooldowns here. Dwarf mic, there we go. Dwarfing. Good. And then there's not really more to this boss. Then it's the same old, same old. Hobbit actually died here. I think he didn't kick the patty cake. Right. So yeah, of course, in the downtime here, you can see I had a weaker as well. Check pet. So I wouldn't, because I always have my pet dead here. So I would never miss it. Of course, I rest my pet, I dismiss it, so I have a pet for last boss. Yes, you play Mechanicus in this dungeon for cooldown reduction. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it for every mace. Mechanicus was really, really good in MDI. So here, of course, true CCs, saps, and prisons. You can walk through the mobs without getting in combat. Right now it's 73.8%, which means that we don't need the pack on the right here. We just need the double pack plus the reverse. And then the last 2 packs over here with the boss, and then we're done with count. And how we play this pull, me and Clicks were rotating on the cross stack horn. Robin and Jimmy are rotating on the skull. I'm calling the interrupts, and this is where one of like the coaches, like Maris as a coach, was really nice to have, because back in the day I used to call everything. I used to call stun stops and everything like that while calling kicks. And there's a lot to manage on this pull and on last boss. So it was just easy for him to call the AoE stops, and I was calling the kicks. So I was just saying Robin and Clicks next, Jimmy and me next, and then Maris was on the outside calling AoE stops for the Gorgers that does the the ground effect, as you can see here in just a second, like the knockback. So melees don't have to move out. You can see here in just a second. And also it does some stops on the acids. You can see at the acid global. You can see the shockwave coming out in just a second. From the shockwave. And then we're most likely gonna see blinding light coming out next. The next circle happens. Blinding light, yep. And then we're gonna see shockwave again when it comes out. There was just a good rotation, and interrupts as well going out just as planned. It just made it a lot easier for people to just have 2 people call individual things instead of having me call everything. It gave me a lot more, it made it easier for me, so I could just focus on playing my rotation better, right? If having someone on the outside just makes it easier. So it does take focus. Okay, so here, as you can see, we're done with that. We just need the 2 packs and the last boss in order to be done with count. But as it looks like right now, we have 2 minutes on around the 1 minute cooldown, a little bit longer. We only have 1 minute back. You can see Flagellation is ready. We have Resonating Arrow. We don't have Ashen. If we pull these 2 into the boss, we'd pretty much be wiped. So what we do here is a little fancy trick, as you can see, blind in the shroud. Jimmy blinds it. He walks on top of it, and blind is not a true CC, so he gets in combat with this blinded mob. Now the smart thing with this is that he's only in combat with the blinded mob, and no additional mobs around it will be pulled as we get in combat with this pack. But the smart thing about it is that when that blind breaks, 1 minute later, it will pull and it will chain everything as it walks down. And 1 minute later is exactly when we get our 2 minutes back, and our Ashen Hallow back, and our wings back. And that's when we blast that shit with all our cooldowns, Bloodlust, and everything. I think that this dungeon had a lot of cool technical things, so that's why I wanted to show you guys this one. I think there's a lot of cool things that the people can learn from this key specifically. And of course, this boss is actually really hard when you're playing with the slow and the physical damage increase, and you have 4 melees. They needed to play really, really good. But you can see here, the blind breaks, all of the mob comes. Ashen Hallow in 10 seconds, 2 minutes ready. Look here, you can see my lone wolf never goes away, like we talked about earlier, right? I don't know if you guys noticed, but I summoned my pet. You can still see it here. The pet bar is gone, so summon it, bloodlust, abandon, and I never lose my 10% damage increase. This is when we pop all of our cooldowns. And we just destroy the boss. And he just melts at this point. Isn't that exploiting? What, abandoning your pet? I wouldn't say that it's an exploit. You don't have pet and lone wolf at the same time. You summon your pet, and then you abandon it like instantly after you summoned it and press bloodlust. You just do it in like so quickly that the game doesn't remove your lone wolf buff. You don't have a pet and lone wolf at the same time. You remove your pet too fast. So that was the misstrat. We managed to do this strategy like around a minute faster. We got like low 15s after we improved it more and more and we played it more and more. It also depended on what path you got. The best path is the Night Blossom. The second best path was actually getting the dragon. And the worst path was Gorgulet. Gorgulet was like 15, 20, like the one we had here, but like on average, we've got better. The Night Blossom was a sub 15, and the dragon path was like a low 15. Yes, all of these POVs will be available on YouTube. My editor will, just fix them up a little bit, and then he will upload them. Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to another day with your favorite DJ, DJ Stiff Bruder. It's time to get unstuck from the spiritual machines. Yeah,